Joining us now is Nicholas, and we are going to be talking about the home market. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Donna. How are you?
Good. What's happening right now in homes?
So, today people are constantly comparing things pre and post pandemic.
Still?
Still.
Oh, okay.
So, I'd say that the market during the height of the pandemic was unpredictable at best, but things have been trending a little differently since then. The market softened up a little bit, but it's still a seller's market. Sellers still have the upper hand, and as a result, it's very competitive. So.
Now, you got into the real estate market in a very funny way because you used to be a bartender, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then what made you decide on this journey of homes?
So after my first son, and I have two boys, they're both 14 months apart, so Irish twins, I guess they call it, right? My wife stopped working, and that was our plan. We didn't want her to work, but
Sure.
they both have a genetic disease called SMA, and that's not the point of this, but
No, but I'm not familiar with that. Can you share with our audience, what is that?
sure.
What is SMA?
SMA is spinal muscular atrophy.
Okay.
So the gene that promotes muscle growth they don't have.
Okay.
So they're in power chairs and they just need a lot of care. There's no cognitive issues. They're very bright, a lot of personality.
Right.
But my wife was going to go back to work when they were in school.
Okay.
So she never went back to work.
All right.
So as a result, bartending just wasn't enough to make ends
Make your
meet.
whole family work, right?
So I was also in sales, but between the multiple jobs, it just wasn't enough.
You
So,
found homes.
right. So when I decided to get my real estate license, literally it was like 2 days after I got my license, I quit my bartending job, and I had my first transaction the first month I had my license, and I kind of never looked back.
It's fabulous. One of the things that I like about your company, it's Hartford Homes and Estates, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So when you decided to do this and you branched on your own, you're also someone that actually gives back to the community. Tell us
Yes.
about that. What is that program?
So Homes for Heroes, I'm an affiliate of, and it is a national program. And what they do is it's not geared just for veterans.
Okay.
People hear Homes for Heroes, they think veterans, but it's really about professional heroes as well. So like doctors, nurses, cops, firemen, teachers. And the way it works is if they use our company to help with buy or sell a home, they share in the commission. So on Long Island, homes are expensive because it's a national program, so prices vary depending on where you live. But because of the prices here, heroes receive anywhere from a $3,000 to a $5,000 check just by using us. And that's just kind of
Wow.
our way of giving back,
That's very
Right
interesting.
now we're partnered with Northwell.
Okay.
So anybody who is working at Northwell or a family member of somebody that works at Northwell, they could be part of the program. And
And
it's
Hartford can help them. You can help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I didn't realize that. That's so nice that you have a company that gives back. Most of the people that we have on my show, they're on my show because of the fact that they're really good people. So that was one of the reasons, Nicholas, that we invited you. We're like, well, we
you.
heard that you're like a really good person. What is the most interesting home you've ever had to list or that someone bought while working with you?
Most interesting. So there was this one house in Ronkonkoma, and it was a pretty big house, but the thing was falling apart.
Okay.
And this was right at the height of the pandemic. So when we would do an open house, we had a line literally down the block. And I couldn't believe the amount of money people were bidding on this house.
Okay.
We actually had to time people 7 minutes because the open house is like 2 hours. So literally sitting there with
next.
right, because you only allow one family in at a time. I thought we would get maybe a handful of offers, but we got like over 20 offers on the house, all over ask. I mean, there were a couple that weren't wise to the market yet, where they were offering like list price or 50,000 under list price. But it was just so insane on how things got so elevated so quickly. Right when the pandemic hit, it was like nobody knew what to expect. So all my deals fell apart. Everybody backed out of transactions, and then I would say that didn't last long, maybe 2-3 weeks, and then it was like somebody opened the faucet, and it was just crazy since then.
Deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that person that bought that house, are they still in that house or did they flip it?
They wound up flipping it.
Okay, because that's also really prevalent here, I think, on Long Island, because you're only on an island, it's different places. The show airs in 25 countries or in multiple states, but in particular, let's just talk about this for the moment. It's 30 miles wide and 100 miles long. So
Right.
there's not a lot of buildable land. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll either take an older home and flip it, or sometimes they just demolish it. right?
Yeah.
They demolish it and they just build another little house on top.
That's true. What's tough about this market is, so I flip homes too.
Okay.
But the problem is, a house that I would buy to flip, I have to get a good deal on it. You can't get a good deal today. Things are softening up a little bit, but there's got to be an extra 30, 40,000 in profit for any investor to decide to take it over. But you have owner occupants that want to buy a house that needs a ton of work and they're paying top dollar. So it's very difficult for the flippers today.
Right, because they need a home and the inventory's low right now.
Right, exactly.
Other trends across the country too that I've noticed too is that sometimes people are still going to like the newspaper where it says buy this house for like $20,000, right? And there's a lot of scams. So people need to be careful if
Yeah.
they're wanting to get into the real estate market that they're not getting scammed.
That's very true. And the sole purpose of that ad is just to get the phone to ring.
Okay.
And that story is old as time. But
Yeah, but the younger generation that's coming up, they're like, sometimes they're not aware. You know what I'm saying? Does
Right.
that make sense to you? So
Definitely.
somehow we got to communicate to the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings that, okay, been there, done that,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, this looks good, but if it's too good to be true, sometimes it usually is.
It almost always is, right? So, the best thing to do is to really partner with a realtor that you trust.
Okay.
Today's day and age, there's so many things available to us online that we think we could do everything on our own to save a buck. But in the end, you really don't save any money. And especially if you're working with a buyer's agent, the buyer's not paying them anything. So the money comes out of the transaction of the house. So I don't know if you're familiar with the settlement that NAR went through recently.
Yes,
So
we've done that, some segments on the show, but go ahead and explain that to
So,
the audience
so
again.
that's a big topic of discussion
Right.
today, and it kind of put my industry in a frenzy.
Okay.
And agents didn't know how to handle it. There's been so many agents that just left the business because they just didn't know what to
understand
expect.
it? Right.
And what a lot of agents are doing is they're going out there and they're telling people that you could pay me as your listing agent, and the buyer's going to take care of the commission for
right.
the buyer's agent. That's not true.
Okay.
So your perception of who's paying who is irrelevant. The money's coming out of the proceeds of the house.
Right.
So
Don't do side deals with people.
Right.
Just do it the traditional, clean way.
Right. So it's business as usual as far as I'm concerned. Money's coming out of the proceeds of the house, because if the buyer's going to pay for it and he's going to pay, let's say, 2%, he's
Right.
going to deduct 2% from the purchase price. So it's still coming from the same pot.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, no
because I
problem.
think you're right. Right? If you just do things above the board with authenticity
Definitely.
and you're a good business person, everybody wins.
Right. Gimmicks get you so far, but it goes back to trusting the realtor that you're working with, because they're going to guide you, and you don't want somebody that's going to tell you what you want to hear. Especially when we're talking about young couples, their experiences from their parents.
Right.
The parents bought a house 40 years ago. Things are very different in today's market than they were 40 years ago. So, and speak to more than one agent. Speak to a couple of agents, because it's got to be somebody you connect with. They could be the best in their business, but if you don't connect with them and you're not comfortable with them, it's just not going to work.
You have to feel like they have your best interest at heart.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Nicholas. I wish you all the best to you, your family, and to
thank you.
all the homeowners out there that you're working with. Thank you very much, and home buyers. There you go. We just had this wonderful conversation, and whatever you're going through in your life, whatever challenge, just find a professional that knows a little bit more than you. It's worth the call. Thanks for watching.